Legend of Total War here, and today we're going to be doing a continuation on the topic, Has Total War Fallen? So just a bit of a recap for those that aren't familiar. A few weeks ago, Pixelated Polo made a video claiming that Total War has fallen. I made a response video to that, and there have been various other responses to my video and Pixelated Polo's video since then, which is something that I encouraged. Since then, I've also been in conversations with Voland and Pixelated Polo, and we decided to do like a podcast style video where we just got together, had a big long conversation about these topics rather than just endlessly making response videos. And that's what this video here is. Now, because the entire conversation was like 3 hours and 44 minutes, what we decided to do was split it up into 3 parts and have each part on a different channel. So the first part is on Voland's channel, the second part is on Pixelated Polo's channel, and this video here is the third and final part of that discussion. I will leave a link to those videos in the description. I believe Pixelated Polo is going to make a playlist. If I can find the playlist link for that, I'll put that playlist link in the description as well. So you can watch them in whichever order you want, because based on 3 different topics of discussion, but it's entirely up to you how you want to go about it. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy the conversation, and I look forward to reading your responses in the comments, and I want to get your opinions on what we were talking about. Let me know about areas where you think I didn't communicate my points well enough, so that in future, if we have conversations like this again, I can do better. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy. This is what it really comes down to. What defines a good game? Everybody's gonna have.
I was gonna comment on this, right? See, as a YouTuber from the start, I was about pushing games, finding good gameplay, and showcasing it, and perhaps even an aspect of teaching people how to be good at games, and that sort of thing. And I would do whole playthroughs doing that casually because I was comfortable with it.
Yeah.
At a time when no one was really doing, I don't think anyone was doing legendary difficult campaigns or Strong 2 at the time. Everyone was fucking scared of it. It was weird, right?
When I came onto the scene, nobody was playing hardest difficulty except for you.
Yeah, so it's like the way I think about this is, as a YouTuber, like that should be your responsibility, shouldn't it, to be capable and sort of elevate other people and encourage.
That depends. That's your goal, and that's a noble goal for sure. But
isn't that one that, if it's noble, then it's virtuous, isn't it? Like you're thriving yourself if you're engaging in that activity.
Yep, and that's why you've been able to get 100,000 subscribers, because you've got a goal that people can admire. A lot of people who do Total War on YouTube, it's hard to speak on other people's behalf, they've resigned themselves to just not being able to get to that point. They basically put themselves down. Oh, I'm not as good at the game as this person. I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to do this because I enjoy it, and that's fine. Everyone's got different motivations for what's that?
They shouldn't do that. Like if you're uploading gameplay, if you're baking bread, if you're if you're doing anything you want to do well,
it really does. It depends.
Well, there's different flavors. I mean, like
it really is. It's different flavors.
Personally, I don't think I'm the best at Total War, but I think my videos, maybe not so now, but like in the past, I focused on the immersion and what Total War is able to bring in that regard. And like there's times where I'd zoom in on one soldier and give him a little backstory or whatever, and that was kind of my thing. I didn't really take on the like legendary challenges, but
you could do it though. Like you do it. Don't you play Medieval 2 3rd Age on? Yeah, like
dude,
you can do it.
Dude, I'm playing on very hard, but you should see the comments being like, "Holy crap, you're so bad at this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not the best, but people like my role play. People like when I give a general a certain army because he deserved it, because he's been serving for a long time, or whatever. So I think there's different flavors.
There's different aspects of competency. Like you're doing that well. What you're describing, you're obviously good at it and always have been. Otherwise, you wouldn't have 900,000 subscribers. But like, if you're just someone that's like really focused on the game and the gameplay, and you have the responsibility in a sense of a YouTube channel where you have a wide reach, shouldn't you hope that the game is going to let you be good at it, and that looks good and feels good?
Yeah,
and it isn't just like exploits and shit, and that's like the only appeal
I
to
think
you
that's
really
a big problem with Total War Warhammer, is that oftentimes that it will appear as though being competent at the game is just exploiting it. I mean, I've had these exact same comments since Medieval 2. So whenever I was doing these sort of things, people said the exact same thing. People put the exact same comments to me now as it did in Medieval 2. So there's no difference to me. You know, when I was routing an entire army just with a solid cavalry charge, snipe the enemy general cavalry charge, cause a mass rout, that kind of stuff in Medieval 2, people are like, oh, he's abusing the AI. They'll say the exact same thing to me now, even though I don't do that because it doesn't work in Warhammer 3 quite as well without doing other things.
But they were right. Remember when they were saying you were abusing the AI? It would be better if the AI was better. That's just that's just given. Yeah. So,
it is the same thing.
But you're still engaging with the game in a pretty robust way. Like you're using cavalry to charge. You're finding opportunities that aren't entirely. That aren't entirely preconceived and just going through the motions. Like it's kind of like a sandbox experience the entire way.
Yeah, I think what it really comes down with me is that there are definitely ways. There are some battles in Warhammer that can be done in sort of a robust way. It's just that there are a lot of units that are a complete waste of space, that are just useless, just stat upgrade basically of a previous unit. There are so many battles that people can go into and the outcome is already decided before they go into, and that sucks about that game. It really does. And I've played the game
there's no
enough.
Tension. Yeah. Like that's what I was trying to craft. Like see my Shogun 2 campaigns.
Yeah.
A lot of the time I'm just doing everything I can to make it as hard as possible and just create the tension, because otherwise it would just be too easy. Like you have to some extent handicap yourself for there to even be a perceived challenge. So
for sure. Like when I'm doing a live stream, I handicap myself because I know a lot of exploits in Total Warhammer 3. But I know that if I do them, people will be like, oh my god, this is gross. I can't believe he's doing this. Because I know how to conquer the entire map in one turn. But I don't do it during a live stream because that would be boring to watch. So I do handicap myself to some degree. But what I try to do to limit myself is when I'm handicapping myself, I ask myself, is this something that people want to see? Yes or no? Or is it something that like I just really want to do anyway and I don't care if people want to see it? Like for example with the swooping for 4 hours thing, I wanted to do that. I probably wouldn't have cared if 5,000 people weren't watching. It's just a lucky coincidence for me that that was something that people wanted to watch. But there have certainly been certain situations where I'm like, I'm just stuck in my mindset. I have to break the game and I will just keep focusing on doing this, and people will be like, this is boring as hell, I'm not watching this. And as a creator, as a YouTuber, it's something that I've had to learn on and try to figure out. And basically when people leave after I'm doing stuff like this, I try not to do it again.
But the appeal for doing those exploits is because you obviously have a technical mastery of the game. Like you understand exactly what's going on and how to.
Yeah, like I can take a balanced army and I can win battles. It's not like I can. I am only good because I use exploits. A lot of these things is like, I'm good at the game, in addition to understanding the exploits.
Right, the exploits push you beyond.
They allow me to do things that you would otherwise be impossible. And especially because I'm doing them every day, people think that's the only way I know how to play. But here's the big kicker. Whenever I do a battle that's just like normal, there's no exploits whatsoever, those are my worst performing videos. So I try not to do them very often. Every time I go out to a disaster battle or something, I look at it and go like, I can't do any exploits here. So I just move it on to the next one. And it's not because I can't win it without it. It's because people don't want to watch me not do that. That's just not what has worked. Otherwise, hey, if it worked for me to lose every single battle, that's exactly what I would do. I'd be loser of Total War if that got me more views. I seriously would. I would pick every single battle that was a foregone conclusion loss, and I'd just be like, well, I can't win this battle. That would be every single one of my videos. But that is just not what people want to watch from me. They want to see me win doing something ridiculous, something ridiculous.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because the gameplay itself is so shit. Like this is like the game.
And
is
again,
so
there's
shit
going to be outliers. People saying, "Oh, I'd watch you lose a battle." Yeah, but for every one person that says they'll watch it, I'll lose 5 people that won't comment. So it's just it is what it is.
I'm trying to help get there with Pixelated at the moment. Like what it sounds like you're saying, or it could be interpreted like this: the game is so shit that standard gameplay is so boring that the only way that it can be interesting is if you just pick away the edges and do weird bullshit that no one's seen before.
Well, maybe for me, again, it's you can't take my experience of it and then apply it to everyone, because
you're the one with 500k subs. Like, you've got the most views playing this game. Like, where's all the people that are, you know, engaging with it virtuously and doing cool
Well,
shit? Like, you know, where is it?
it's I can tell you with the save files that I get sent in, the vast majority of them, people are using balanced armies, getting themselves into situations that are very mundane. So that most people are not sending in 1 unit spam stacks and doom stacks and that kind of stuff. The people who are doing that don't need to send in save files. The vast majority of people they're just bad at the game, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I wouldn't be able to get content out if people weren't bad at the game. It'd be the end of me if people were good at the game.
If you start out at being good at the game, which we both are, or all of us are, then when you play with it, like that, there's no such situation as that. Like, you've sort of seen through the illusion of the superficial challenge that exists.
Yeah, but I think you got to keep in mind as well that there's a bell curve of skill, and that both of us exist in the 0.0001% of people. We're so far on that edge that you may not even see the horizon because it's so far behind us. I think that's something. Most people think that Warhammer 3 is tough. Maybe not most people. Some people do.
Well, that just shows that, like, there's a new core of players that, you know.
I think that's the problem. It's a clash of generations. Like, you're sitting here, the game's already easy, you're willing to play them. You don't find any challenge because they've regressed so much that the gameplay is so easy that you have to just do this stuff instead. Like, I think you would be, like, just based on my memory of the Medieval 2 stuff that I appealed to earlier, I don't think you would be sitting doing all this bullshit if the game was actually good and there was a real challenge there and you could, you know, fight
I probably
battles
wouldn't
like
be doing it
battles.
quite as much. That's probably
As
true.
much, yeah.
But, you know,
Like, see
I
Medieval
did
2,
do this stuff in Medieval 2. You know, I did do it.
Like, see the way you would play Medieval 2 Botet, that would surely look totally different from how you play the equivalent that's made by the company to make money.
For
Totally
a long
different,
time,
right?
I thought the beginning of the End Times was better than Total War Warhammer, for sure. Now, where it really turned was where the limitations of Medieval 2 sort of were surpassed by Warhammer as they continue to do better. There is
So that
a
was
big
Warhammer
difference.
2.
Yeah, like with Warhammer 1, I would prefer to play Beginning of the End Times over Warhammer 1.
Right,
Warhammer 1 was not good.
Without mentioning campaign,
Yeah.
how the fuck did Warhammer 2 get any better than Warhammer 1?
Okay. So, it came down to the depth of mechanics. A lot of people, I think, don't realize how much deeper the mechanics got in Warhammer 2 compared to 1. A lot of the campaign side of things, they started adding more features that started to compound on other features, and diplomacy started getting better, especially with Warhammer 3.
Oh, yeah, right, you did it. You did it.
What did I do?
You appealed to the campaign stuff.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to. Say again. Was I only supposed to talk about battles?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know that.
Just to keep up with the sentiment from earlier about the battles are the whole point, you know.
Yep. All right. Ready? Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
The battles in Warhammer 3 are exactly the same as Warhammer 1.
Yeah.
There's just more of the same units. They're the same.
So, I guess that's my biggest...
No, you know what? I'm going to go a step further. They're worse in Warhammer 3 than they are in Warhammer 1.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. So, with your response video, I think you kind of concluded with, like, your argument is, like, you may not like it, but a lot of people like it.
So, yeah, you said you called it a appeal to popularity?
It's just because it's popular doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, I think in my mind...
But that's besides the point. That's not what I'm...
Okay, sorry.
What I'm saying... No, it's fine. What I'm saying is, like... What was I even going with this? Basically, you like the...
Yeah.
Well, you like the game because it's broken. And then when you kind of promote this idea that, well, a lot of people like it, so it must be good. And I like it because it's broken. And I just, with that kind of attitude, I don't think the newer Total Wars are going to come out are going to change or get better. They're just going to keep...
No, you're right. This is a huge fundamental problem where there is too much. Was it Warhammerization of the newer Total War games? I'm totally against that. I wish that Warhammer had just been its own like fork of Total War, and it just ends with Warhammer 3, and that they start a new fork, and it'd be a bit more robust like in the older Total War games, like Medieval 2, Shogun 2. The Medieval 2 and Shogun 2 really do have some of the best battle mechanics. Actually, Total War Attila as well, apart from the optimization issues. But if you get a balanced army versus a balanced army, Total War Attila, there is a lot of tactics that you can do. You can have a crap unit overcome a really good unit if you just use the right moves in Total War Attila. It's the same with Medieval 2, Rome 1, Medieval 2, Shogun 2, Total War Attila. Fantastic battles in all of those. The reason why I always crap on Total War Attila is because I hate the campaign. The campaign is a big deal for me, but I will acknowledge that I love the battles in Total War Attila. I actually really enjoyed playing multiplayer in Total War Attila. I thought it was a great experience.
All right, this is really interesting because you just said that Medieval 2 and Shogun 2 have some of the best battles, right?
Yep.
And when I tried to get you to advocate for Warhammer 2 over Warhammer 1, you even said that the battles are worse in Warhammer 3 than Warhammer 1.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, you had a tier list thing where you put Shogun 2 above Warhammer 3 and 2. Because I've got one of my questions here from one of my buddies.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go on. Yeah, I think he observed that you put Shogun 2 above Warhammer 2 and 3. So it seems like you've conceded the battles on Warhammer are shit, full stop.
Okay.
You have said, yeah, go on.
I'll just want to refine that a little bit. So, saying that the battles in Warhammer are shit just because they're not as good as Warhammer 2 is a bit of a jump. So if
Shogun 2?
What did I say?
Warhammer 2.
I
meant Shogun
2.
Okay,
I misspoke. Yep. So let me just rephrase that. If I say that the battles in Warhammer are not as good as Shogun 2, that is a big jump to say that they're shit, necessarily. Like, I'll tell you which Total War game I think the battles are shit in. Troy. Absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
Battles are trash in Troy.
And this is interesting again, because of course, Warhammer 2 is the trunk in all of these other games of the past, however many countless years are just branches or forks off of that trunk.
Yeah.
So it's like...
I can explain that. I know where you're going at. That's a great question. So, the things that make the battles in Warhammer 2, because that is the fork, make that okay, is due to the things that are not present in Troy. So it's the outlying units, the units like so if you take infantry into consideration with Warhammer 2, it doesn't work very well at all. I would usually avoid recruiting melee infantry in Warhammer 2 because it just functioned like crap. It was so unsatisfying because at the very best you could trade evenly, which is just not what you want to be doing, especially when most battles you're probably outnumbered. But there's outlying units. So special abilities like magic, being able to get the enemy into traps on the battlefield. Basically, even if you didn't ambush them on the campaign map, sort of ambushing them on the battlefield by using the terrain, like hiding your units and then jumping out at them at the right moment, splitting them up while they're trying to look for you, that kind of stuff. Using things like flying units to lure certain units away, using the monster's abilities. It is very ability heavy for sure, the Warhammer games, but when used correctly, there are some abilities that are totally flaccid and just avoid using those, and there are some abilities that are absolutely game changing. And so Warhammer 2, while there is a lot of like flaccid crap in there is so many tools that every faction will have available to make these battles satisfying, as long as you bring these things to the battlefield. If you don't bring them to the battlefield, they're fucking horrendous to fight those battles. And that's what a lot of people will do, is where these disaster battles get sent in. They don't understand where to bring in these impactful mechanics. And so they bring an army that's full of variety, but doesn't have anything impactful in it, and they've brought an army destined to lose. And it's a foregone conclusion. Those are the bad battles in Warhammer. So I'm not going to say that every single battle in Warhammer is going to be really satisfying. If you don't bring the right tools, super unsatisfying. At least it is for me. But
I'm thinking about this, and it's like I'm just imagining Apollo just like going purple at the moment, because like At least I would hope it would be, because it's like you have a battlefield, you have you have forget all the gimmicks things that I think you're describing. Sort of, it's like you have soldiers, you have possibilities that should just be there by virtue of the
Yeah.
battlefield. You should you should sort of even empathize with your soldiers to an extent if they can manage that. That's what they were marketing for Rome 2 with all of that shit about what was it again? Saving Private Ryan of the battlefield, all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like they've clearly just given up on all that stuff and have supplanted it with what it
totally
sounds like gimmicks
wrong.
that you have to bring along.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like bringing infantry, I would just use them as meat shields. Basically, that you just don't care about them. They're there to. Sometimes, you know what I would even do? I'd withdraw them from the battlefield before the battle even begun. No point even bringing them.
Yeah,
that's
what I was doing in my Warhammer 3 battle. Only one I ever fought. I just intuited that it would be fucking useless and didn't even bother.
Yep.
And yeah, Apollo said earlier,
recently,
StarCraft.
Withdraw them.
Yeah,
I
was just gonna say that. It's just StarCraft.
I know you. I already know you so well.
Yeah, it's like it's and you say, you know, like you have these people send in disaster campaigns and they have like diverse armies. That should be a strength. That should be.
I completely agree with
Yeah.
you. This is why I always say that the best recruitment system was Medieval 2, because it forced you to use every unit in your roster. By spamming one unit or only your strongest unit, you would actually be detrimental to your campaign. Recruiting bad, like weak units, well, that was just what was available, and so you would have these armies that were varied, and it would encourage you to do it. I've advocated all the way through, and I've said it for Total War Warhammer as well, that that Medieval 2 had the best recruiting system. You have a good recruiting system on the campaign map, and you'll have these diverse systems in battle that feel satisfying. But there are...
The question is, don't you want all of this stuff that we're talking about that was good to just be there as well, in the first place?
Do. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's like, the battles are just bad then, and it's like sometimes they're alright.
That's probably a good way of putting it. Yeah, so a lot of the battles are bad. But sometimes they're all right. And I think the way that I play it is that I know how to make it so that it's all right more often than it's not. So I enjoy it because I think, for me personally, I've got so much experience at the game. I know all the things that I hate, and I'm experienced enough to make sure that doesn't happen.
If you made a video and you were like, I'm not saying that you're not transparent, but like, would your audience get upset with you if you're like, I only like this game?
I don't think they get upset with this.
If you said, I only like this game because it's broken.
No, I feel like they would get it.
They should never do this again. Like, Warhammer was a fling. Like, I just don't see that.
No, I say this stuff during live streams. I say this stuff. I don't want to see Warhammer seep into the historical or other Total War games. I say this stuff, like everything that I've said here today, I don't think has been the first time that I've said it.
No, I agree. And you said that in my response thing. It's like, guys, you said, you know, they should make a good historical game that's, you know, has inspiration from Medieval 2. No, I agree. I understand that. But I just feel like there's a core element of, and I shouldn't assume it's your audience, but a lot of my insight is from Reddit tier. I think you're treated pretty well in Reddit compared to most Total War YouTubers.
Well,
I'm sure there's instances.
Yeah, there are instances. Yeah, I was like, I'll give you that one. I mean, you can take the good with the bad. There's good and there's a lot of bad, and the bad is sometimes I'll oftentimes focus on the bad, and the bad is pretty bad. But yeah, all right, I'll give you that.
Out of morbid curiosity, sometimes I like to go on the Total War Reddit and type in Pixelated Apollo in the comments. And
they are not fair to you. Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. And
well, they're not really fair, but I'm just saying, like, if you really made it clear to them that like Warhammer is broken and that's why I enjoy it.
Well, this is why I try to make the distinction. I'll try to be as clear as I can with this, because sometimes I waffle on way too long. Try to be as clear as I can. My experience with the game is not what should be the norm. I exist on the edge of a bell curve because I'm a weird brain. The things that I enjoy, I recognize are weird. And if a lot of other people are enjoying it for whatever reason, I am totally fine with that. But
I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna tell someone they can't enjoy something because I think it's bad, but I
Yeah.
think there is a fundamental, like, it's not subjective. There are things that are very objective.
Yes,
And I
I
think
agree.
Warhammer is objectively bad. And if you told them that, they will freak out.
That's
you
where
know?
we disagree, though. That I can't really come to the conclusion that it is objectively bad. That's where I sort of draw the line. Like, I will say, I will agree to you with you that there are elements of Warhammer 3 that are really bad. Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. But, you know, is it objectively bad? Full stop. I just can't agree to that.
How about this? Do you think it's true that the addition of all of these grotesque, skeevy monetization practices have made the game objectively worse over time?
It's a complicated answer with that one. Not really yes or no, because it's a bit of both. It's definitely made the barrier to entry a lot higher, which is bad. But at the same time, you have to think of things from the developer's point of view. They would not have been able to just make this product like Warhammer 3 as it is right now. They would not have been able to have that be the launch game. It just would not have been feasible, because a lot of what has made the game better over time is player feedback, and it's been like a decade of player feedback. And while they've ignored and snubbed a lot of it, they have listened to some of it, and it's usually 2 steps forward, 1 step back sort of approach. I have no confidence that Creative Assembly would ever be able to just create a game of this size without it having like a 10-year early access period, which is basically what Warhammer 1 and 2 were. Just we're still essentially in early access with Warhammer 3 because we're providing them feedback so that they can eventually finish the game.
Essentially, so you're talking about pragmatics of production or something like teleology at the moment. But we're talking about merit. We're talking about ontology, the nature of it, how it actually is.
Well, there are some elements that are really skeevy. So Bloodpack, skeevy, when they increase the price by 100% and then pretend like it's not that big of a deal, where they shuffle around how the content gets added, where their patching quality goes down. There's been a lot of skeevy stuff that Creative Assembly has done. Won't deny that whatsoever. That stuff has been detrimental for the most part. And every time that they've done something like that, I've tried to call them out and try to stop it and reverse course on it. And for the most part, it works when the community, by and large, gets behind it, which they have, in case in point with Shadows of Change. But yeah, this stuff seeps in and becomes like an industry standard. And I hate that word, industry standard, but it's one thing that they will use as an excuse to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like across the entire game industry, doing this stuff makes games worse, doesn't it? Like you could say it like across the board, like if you were to just draw a line through the whole game industry, and you could have some sort of a cause and effect relationship with doing this stuff and making games objectively worse to the extent that can be assessed.
Yeah, so I think in some cases, yeah.
There's no reason there would be an exception for Total War. It's like, why would you think that?
Yeah.
You wouldn't?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't really know.
And that's the motivator. Like that's the past like 15 years now. Like that incentive has just entrenched itself firmly. Like the games are so mass produced and streamlined now that they can make a DLC every few months by just reskinning shit.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer it if they
go on.
Just made a game and it was good on launch. That would obviously be preferable. I think part of where my mindset comes in is that I try to give Creative Assembly some benefit of the doubt, because I do give them a hard time a lot of the time, but I know that they do need some slack because they're just not I just don't have that much confidence in them that they could do that, and so sort of put up with certain amount of skeevy behavior, just put up with it, just because if I don't put up with it, then you kind of get nothing, and it's like...
the game exists in a vacuum, right? Yeah. It just appeared out of nowhere, like God created it. It's there on the table. This is how it is. Don't you think that you can assess that just independently of any origin or anything and say what you think about it without appealing to any pragmatics of
okay, that's a good question.
You can draw conclusions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what we're trying to do.
Corporations.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I just don't think about it from that point of view. So.
But that's what you have to do in order to just assess the game on its merits.
So what are you saying? If like this game just
how did we get here?
Sorry, what's that?
Like we're trying to get somewhere. I think it was Apollo.
I think it
was
was
talking about
PA trying to get me to finally admit that Warhammer 3 is bad. Yeah.
You've fallen into my trap.
And I'm like willing to meet you halfway. I'm always willing to meet you halfway. I'm like trying to.
But there's nothing you've really told me that has shown the good half of Warhammer.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be able to. That's the problem.
No, yeah, I mean, you could argue things you like about it.
I could go on about Men of War 2 Assault Squad Rob's mod all day long, man. Like I would sit down and play that game with you and show you how it works because it's so fucking good. I'm an evangelist for that game. The gameplay is fucking amazing.
And I'm already tired of hearing about it.
Yeah. There'll be people that'll like rave about Elden Ring as an example. They'll say how great Elden Ring is or whatever, and it's just like I just don't care about that. That just sounds not for me. And that's basically.
And I've had people that are like that, and then they play it and they get addicted and put 2,000 hours in, and they were like, "Holy shit, this is fucking amazing."
That definitely wasn't me because I gave the game a shot. I played it and I wasn't interested.
I'm not talking about Elden Ring. I'm just talking about the one my game.
Oh right. Okay, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's
I've not played Elden Ring. I don't like those things.
Yeah.
The thing is I can see a game that's good, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
That's. You know, like there's Elden Ring story, customization. I don't know much about it. Honestly, I hate the fighting style. I can't get into that. I'm not like a Dark Souls kind of guy.
Yeah. All three of us, yeah.
But Voland brings up Men of War. I think they have really cool mechanics and features. I just don't really get into it too much. But I can see how it's good. So, you know, it's not so much like that. I understand like people's tastes and flavor.
I can see where we're going with this. I think I can come at this from a different approach. I will never be able to convince you guys that the battles are good in Warhammer because I don't really think they're good. Like they're not the best.
I'll fucking convince you that Men of War Squad 2 is amazing.
Yeah,
give me that chance. Give me enough time. I'll fucking do it.
I've watched some of your stuff. It looks amazing. I should probably give it a shot one day.
We'll team up.
The thing that draws me to Warhammer that you guys probably overlook a lot will be more along the lines of what's available on the campaign side of things, less so on the battlefield. Because the battles are not robust in Warhammer 3 or Warhammer 2 or Warhammer 1 because they're basically the same. And just to clarify in how I mean that the Warhammer 3 battles are actually worse than Warhammer 1, basically the fundamentals of how it works are the same. There is more unit variety in Warhammer 3. That doesn't matter. That's not important. But the AI is worse because it is trying to do too much and it can't figure it out most of the time. And there are certain... The maps are smaller. There are map placements that are super annoying. Something that's called tree acne. Basically, these blobs of trees everywhere. Super annoying. Basically makes it so that certain types of armies just don't function well in these sort of situations. And so you're more incentivized to bring, like... gameplay avoidant armies, which is what I do. You just avoid these systems. So yeah, trying to convince you that the battles are good, I'm never going to be able to do that. I recognize that. Where I really get a lot of my enjoyment from Warhammer does come down to the campaign side of things and doing like over the course of a long campaign, seeing what I can do with it. And it's in a lot of the newer, like more updated factions than it is with the old stuff. The stuff that hasn't been updated is trash. And the stuff that is more updated gets a lot better over time. Like there is a significant improvement with the focus being on the campaign side of things. But yeah, when CA go and make adjustments to the battles, they just stat change around. And that means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. They'll put pages and pages of +1 morale, +2 melee attack. It's fucking nothing. It means absolutely nothing to me whatsoever. I don't even read it.
I agree. I think, like I said, I think Three Kingdoms made some improvements of campaign, but I think like the ethos of Total War are the battles, like the nature of the battles and the mechanics of the battles. I think campaign.
I think it's actually a marriage between the campaign and the battles, and I think that when it comes to Warhammer, it does that well enough. and that there are some Total War games that doesn't do it very well at all. Case in point, Troy. Troy, you just want to avoid the battles. You know, most of us do. They just did a really bad job of that kind of stuff. There's some Total War games where the campaign side of things is just awful, and so you don't really have that conduit for great battles just because the campaign side of things are not robust. But the best Total War games are the ones that have a really good marriage between the campaign side of things and battles. But that's going to be get mass appeal, whereas I think both of you much more prefer to focus just on the on the battle side of things. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think where you'll miss the beauty of Warhammer is on the campaign side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I would say personally, and you can disagree or argue whatever, but I think it's like 70 battles, 30 campaign, because there's a lot of games.
I'm 50-50 on the two.
Well, I just think that like the campaign of say Rome or Medieval 2, they had some cool things, they had some interesting things, but there's a lot of similarities to other strategy games like Civilization or Paradox
all the
games.
Paradox stuff.
Yeah. So what really makes Total War was, you know, having these 1,000+ man armies.
Yes, that's their edge. Absolutely. That's the one thing that sells a Total War game. If they don't have good battles, then they got nothing. You're absolutely right.
And it has so much potential. So much.
Yep. If the Total War game comes out and it has bad battles, just throw that Total War game away. It means nothing. Because there's other better campaigns out there for sure.
Yeah. And I guess what I'm saying is like if the campaign is even just mid, but the battles are like metal, you know, like hardcore, epic, I think the game will do very well.
Yep, probably. Maybe. Depends. I mean, everyone likes
as long as the campaign's passable. You know, it's like okay, it's not anything like Paradox, but these fucking battles, holy shit! You know, like.
I think that's what Shogun 2 really was. Like the campaign side of things, in my opinion, was passable. Nothing really too much to complain about. It functions fine. But the battles in Shogun 2 were really good.
Yeah, this is directly hitting one of my questions that I got. Do you think they see over-focusing on improving and streamlining the campaign mechanics rather than the battles that's prevent Total War from being what it was always about, RPG game with sandbox campaign for said battles?
Yeah, they definitely focus a lot more on campaign side of things now than the battles. I think the battles have been really left behind. It's creaking at the seams. There's no doubt about that.
It's so bad that Total War is not Total War anymore. It's you know, it's like another Civilization game or something. That's why I say Total War has fallen.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same for me.
I can see where you're coming from when we're going to, you know, Total War has fallen. I guess I can hold like two conflicting point of views simultaneously, where I think that Total War has fallen, but I think it can get back up. I guess that's where I could come in with it.
Okay.
I do think they can get back up. I don't know why I should be thinking that. I mean, after everything I've gone through with Creative Assembly, why do I have
everything
this faith
we talked
in them?
about
I don't
today?
get it.
Yeah.
Like, I should just have, like, there's no faith in them whatsoever. But, I don't know, I still think they can do it.
Maybe you're just hopeful for it.
I'm definitely hopeful for it, yeah. But I do think they can.
You're not convinced it will. You're not are you
I'm definitely
convinced
not
it will happen?
convinced. No, absolutely
what's
not.
the probability? Like, if you had to put a bet in the bookies, what's your cutoff for the odds? Like 10 to 1, 100 to 1, 1,000 to 1? What odds would you need to get to place the bet, you know?
Well, I'd go with, like, probably 10 to 1, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same for me. Like, and all I need is 2 to 1 to think this is, you know, probably dead. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm convinced it's dead.
Yeah, I just feel like
I guess I'm a gambler at heart. I'll play that 10 to 1 odds.
You'll get a 10 to 1 payoff.
Yeah.
I feel like...
I've sat down at a roulette table, up $100, walk out of the room with nothing. That's happened. You know?
That's how they get you.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where me and Voland we just are one step forward in the grief process.
I have always thought that as well. I think I am just maybe 2 years behind you.
Yeah.
Like, just 2 years. I think if the next 2 years...
We've gotten past denial. We're in acceptance.
Yeah, like, I'm at the... What am I at the denial stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of grief.
You're still Yeah.
I'm still in the denial. What's the
bargaining
order
a
of
bit as well, maybe a little bit. We create
What's the
assembly.
order? Hang on, I got it. The 5 stages of
It's
grief.
like
What am I
denial,
at?
grief, anger, acceptance, or something.
Yeah.
And
Hang on, what stage would I
we've
be
had
at?
my denial was during Rome 2.
Oh my god, I am at bargaining. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had denial. Yeah, that was like 2021, and then anger. That was 2022 and 2023. Absolutely, I was so furious, and now I'm at bargaining. Oh my god. That means next is depression. Oh no.
Ah, for fuck's sake.
Oh well, at least I know what I've got coming up for me. Oh man,
It's not that bad,
to see
especially when
that,
you're playing other
like to
games
see
for
that,
reason, so.
like written plain in front of me now, I'm just like, oh no. Maybe.
Well,
I don't even give a shit. I've said it like
Yeah.
5 times. It's getting old. I just play Man of War. Don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
It was good
I
while
think
it
once
lasted.
I really-
guess.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's still a bit of me depressed just because I put so many hours into this franchise, and I've had a lot of good memories, and but that's fading. It's like every day it fades and fades, and
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that like I've already gone through this before. Like I was at this stage post like maybe Rome 2, maybe Total War Attila, where I went into this sort of stages of all this stuff, and then I kind of got back into it with Warhammer. So now I'm just going through the cycles again. Like history is just repeating itself, which is probably where I think that it can actually improve again, because it did in the past. But it only happened for me. It didn't happen for you two.
well, the broken game pulled you out.
Yeah, like I've said,
Just need to release another broken game, guys.
yeah, I guess maybe just if we could be here 4 years from now being like, oh, this latest game is even more broken than Warhammer, and Legend is once again just thinks it's the greatest thing ever, and you guys will spend another 2 hours trying to convince me it's shit, and I just won't accept it.
Well, I mean, if they make because Empire is broken, but if they try to make an Empire, and it's
that was
broken,
weird. I could never get into I conquered the whole map in Empire 3 turns, but I just can't get into it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like it's broken to an extent that just didn't appeal to me. Whereas, with Warhammer, it's broken to an extent that it does appeal to me. I don't know. I can't really explain it. Maybe it's the spectacle of it, or maybe it's the time. Because like most of the broken stuff in Empire, I feel like it wastes my time a lot.
Or maybe it's just because it's more popular,
Well, Empire Total War is very popular. Like whenever I say I don't like Empire Total War, I get a lot of pushback on that.
Well, Empire is like a slow burn. Like I think people see it. It's closer to the modern time, and they see their nations, and they want to fight for their nation, and it's kind of like a game that just lingered for a long time. That people
you actually bring on a good point, because I remember when Rome 2 first came out, and because it was really good for my channel, I was really enjoying the channel growth. I wasn't enjoying the game. I was enjoying the channel growth. I didn't recognize that until the channel growth stopped, and I realized, I actually don't like this game. Is that going to happen with me in Warhammer? I don't know.
Yeah.
It might. We might be having this conversation 2 years from now, and I'll be like, yeah, I actually hate Warhammer. I always did. I just didn't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, because that could be affecting your disposition.
This is why,
the game, like the whole context around it.
This is why whenever people ask me for my opinions, I try not to give them, because I've got such a complex relationship with this game, just because of all these extra layers that everyone else has. I don't actually know if the game is good. I don't actually know.
Dude. You know.
Well, I know how I feel about it.
But you can look at it objectively.
No, I don't think I can look at it objectively. I think that's what I'm trying to point.
You can do it. We can do it together.
Yeah, we're a support group. We can help
The
you.
Total War support group.
It's like AA's Total War support group.
I feel like I'm like a Total War addict, and this is like a
recovery meeting.
No.
I
forgot what the word
like
is.
an alcohol. Well, even an
matter.
alcoholic knows it's bad, but they still do it, and they can objectively see it's bad. I'm joking. I'm not really.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think when it comes down to this is that Warhammer is an entertainment, and if people are entertained by it, then it's serving its purpose. I think that's where I justify it. It serves its purpose.
Well, people are
eating McDonald's when you know you should be cooking.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great analogy. I like to use food analogies as well. So McDonald's is dog shit food, right? Fully, it's just not good food. But people like McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know, if as long as they know what they're consuming, who cares if they eat McDonald's, really?
I don't know. I think sometimes people are too stupid. And they need guidance. No, I mean, like, people get thousands of hours of, I don't know if I want to say the word here. I don't know if you guys care, but corn, but with a P.
Yep.
And that's fundamentally bad and objectively bad. But, you know, just because so many people enjoy it doesn't mean it's good. Again, I'm not saying Warhammer 3 is like, it's not like Warhammer 3 is like corn, okay? I'm not saying
no, that's
that,
actually
obviously.
an interesting analogy as well. Yeah.
This is what Admiral Price left on. This is the note that he left, you know, his parting gift. He basically said that, I think this is almost a verbatim quote that I can provide just on memory. They are marketing you with addictive substances to get your money. About that.
Yeah.
You could be right about that. I could just be addicted.
Capitalism.
Hang on, that can't be right. I'm not addicted to the game because I don't play it in my spare time very much.
Well, it might be a different addiction. It might be an addiction relating to YouTube.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Because you could play other games and be successful. I've seen you do it before. So
yeah, I don't know.
You know, so it's a little more complicated with you.
I dropped Total War and I had the biggest influx of subscribers my channel has ever had before Apocalypse came, and I was like, alright, who cares anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how that goes for me. I doubt it, but we'll see. But yeah, you've both brought up some really good points about other ways that you can consider Total War Warhammer bad. I just hope that I've at least helped you to understand how a lot of people who do enjoy Total War Warhammer see it as good, but ultimately it shouldn't really matter if we can't come to an agreement on whether or not it's good or bad. I think it's just the best way to put it is just it's hard to come to agreement, like agree to disagree, and maybe there is an objective truth to it. Maybe you're right, maybe I'm right. I don't know. I really don't know. But what does it matter as long as it's not hurting anyone? Let them have their fun, sort of thing. It's like if adults want to play with toys, so what? Let them play with toys. If that detriments their life in some way, I mean, this could be said about so many different things, like with alcohol. You know, if somebody wants to have a couple of beers every now and again, and ends up getting liver cirrhosis or something, you know, what harm people do to themselves, that's part of being free. You're allowed to hurt yourself. I mean, I shouldn't spend as long as I do on the computer. I shouldn't sit down for as long as I do. But I'm allowed to do that. You know, should you really enforce people to live in the most wholesome way possible? I think that's a lot of people just don't want to do that.
It's human nature. This is Aristotle.
Yeah.
Eudaimonia. Like you want to be thriving. It's natural to thrive. That's just part of our nature. Like you should be aspiring. Like, you're meant to be reaching your potential. I think it really comes down to comparing what should be and what is. Like I know where my motivations lie, and it's not to be I don't know, to find the perfect game and to be the best at it. You know, that's not my aspirations anymore. My aspirations, you know, have a bit of fun, and this is just something that I do now as a job because I want to provide for my family, and it provides a good living for them. So, you know, I've got to keep doing it. As long as my viewers will let me, because they're the ones that dictate this stuff. And let people enjoy. People will basically enjoy whatever poison they want, and like you can't ban people from smoking outright. You can't ban alcohol outright. They're phasing out smoking in New Zealand, and then they're copying it over here. We're getting rid of smoking.
And
that's
totally
a good thing, isn't it?
I'm totally for that. But that being said, I'm not a smoker, so.
Well, I think that shit that they're doing with Steam should be banned, with getting the reviews reset to pretend the game's better than it is. That should be fucking banned.
That's so stupid. Yeah, with the Pharaoh stuff, that's so stupid.
Like,
Yeah,
we
I'm
can't
with
live
you
in a
with that.
Wild West world of not giving a shit about anything, and everyone
Yeah.
just
No,
becomes
no,
a heroine at
totally
it.
agree.
Fuck it, you know?
Can't be
Yeah.
overly complacent. Absolutely agree. But at the same time, I
Well,
think
Yeah.
there's a limit to that as well.
Well, I didn't mean to direct this towards a philosophical
It sort of went that way.
debate or
That's okay.
whatever. but I guess what I'll say is, like, if enough people are doing something bad, or enjoying something that is destructive or not good, it becomes the norm,
Yep.
and the people who want to avoid it have to deal with it. And that's kind of how I feel with Warhammer. Again, I'm not saying Warhammer is like
Yeah,
bad
I
for
just
you,
don't
but
think Warhammer is on that sort of level. This really comes
no,
down
Like,
it's
it
to
could be
not.
better for you. It could be better for you. Like, it could be like, see if Warhammer was like Shogun 2 or on that level, I would have been playing it that whole time and making videos of it and trying to
Yeah.
encourage good gameplay and encourage the developers to make more good gameplay more possible, which is something I sort of got to do after I ditched Total War. So, like, we could be doing better, and it's not like I'm here saying that you're not participating and being a force for good. Like, you obviously have. You mentioned the petition. You're just being honest about this stuff and answering our questions, which is obviously helpful. Like, we're figuring this stuff out.
Yeah.
That's what, like, I as much as for myself, to the extent I still am invested, I want a good Total War game for you as well as me. Like, it'd be good if you had
And I
something.
want that as well. And I
Yeah.
really wish that Creative Assembly would have, over the past 10 years, weeded out a lot of the crap that's in Warhammer and made it better. I really do. I think that my way of dealing with this stuff is that I sort of come to a middle ground with a lot of this. I'm willing to concede ground. I recognize I'm just not going to get everything that I want. And I'd rather get 50% of what I want than push for 100 and get nothing. Because, as I've said before with, like, gambling stuff, I've done that in the past. Gone all in, end up with nothing. So I'll happily take a 50 and be okay with it, than end up with nothing. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
So, like,
yeah,
when it comes to Warhammer, I think most people within the community will admit that only the outliers will be like, no, the game is absolutely perfect. No, I don't think that's the case. I think most people will be like, yeah, like, I enjoy the game, but there's, like, this element here I hate about it. I think there's a lot of criticisms to be had, and the viewers, the people who play it are vocal about it. It's just that over such a long period of time, I think most of us have agreed that it's just not going to get much better. Just because they're incapable of improving it. And then moving on from Warhammer 3, are they going to make a new good game? It's very doubtful. They just haven't inspired a lot of confidence. It's possible. Like I said, 10 to 1 odds. But who knows? Maybe they'll beat those odds. Maybe the next game will be that absolute banger. Or maybe it'll just be a buggy pile of shit, and that'll just be in the Creative Assembly, and I don't think anyone's going to be particularly surprised if that happens. But I'm not hoping for that. I'm always rooting for Creative Assembly to succeed, and I think the best way that they can succeed is by firing every single middle manager and executive.
I think my point of view is that they will make Star Wars, they will make 40K, they will be just like Warhammer, and they will sell just fine, and nothing will change.
I think that is most likely what that is. Yeah, that's most likely. That's a 9 to 10 odds on that.
I was just thinking there, like, Apollo was kind of leading us there, and obviously I agree with him, or the sentiment that I think he was getting across. But he was talking about how there seems to be a bit of a disconnect. It's like you're playing Warhammer or streaming it, like doing this all the time. You're here being candid and volunteering, basically. It's like we're not having to torture this out of you, really. Like, I think we could probably, I don't think we're being pricks about it or anything, but it's like you're being forthcoming with this stuff and just admitting to all these problems with the games. And there's obviously a disconnect there when the games are so fundamentally flawed and you're just playing them anyway. And it's like, I don't know, how closely are these aspects ever paired or juxtaposed? It's like you're playing the game all the time, and then over here right now, it's like we're talking about how they're so fucked. So
I'm not sure if this is exactly what you mean, but there is like
something that could be done is to pair these things more closely together. It's like instead of like, this is something I was sort of doing from the start when I started critiquing. It's like I try and point out some of these problems and say this is why the game is shit.
How can you call
and it
yourself
could
a
be better.
fan if you criticize it?
Yeah.
How can you call yourself a fan if you criticize it?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
The thing is, how can you be a fan of anything if you don't criticize it? Because we only criticize the things that we love.
We care about, yeah.
It's the only things we criticize about. So the fact that we sit here and spend 3-4 hours talking about Total War, if people's thoughts of this conversation is, here's 3 bitter old men, middle-aged men, whatever. You guys are younger than me. Complaining about Total War. Why don't they just move on with their lives? I think that's the wrong way to look at it. It's like 3 people who actually care about the franchise, who wanted to do better, and hoping that this conversation doesn't fall on deaf ears like every other conversation has. We criticize it because we love it.
That's a cop-out.
I care about good games. I care about good games. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like. You don't have to really care about Total War anymore. It's like, well, not directly anyway. I just care about good games for their own sake and encouraging them and playing them. And as a YouTuber, the somewhat responsibility to try and play to their strengths, you know, and encourage more good games. So it's like, see when you're showing, when you're showing like the game is basically fucked and these exploits just break the challenge.
What Total War game though doesn't have these exploits? So I mean, even Shogun 2's got exploits like this kind of stuff.
AI I've the more I play these games and upload them seriously, like Shogun 2, the more I notice problems and I complain about them and say this is fucking doing my head in, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be the attitude?
Yeah,
redeemable
I think
aspect.
we've got to think back to that bell curve. When you play a game a certain amount of time, like if you play your first 100 hours of a game and you don't really encounter these sort of massive issues, I think that's a big win for a game. With Shogun 2, that is likely to be the case. Your first 100 hours, you're not really going to notice the ways that you can really derp things out. It's only when you get to that end of the bell curve, the minority of people that play it for that amount of time, that really find these kind of things. And those are the kind of bugs or issues that Creative Assembly or any developer is not really going to focus on. Like, we can sit here and say that these things can be done, but unless these are problems that are experienced by the majority of players,
think about it this way. Think about it this way, right? Elder Scrolls has a pretty prominent now and vocal YouTuber clique of explicitly advocating for doing better and explaining how fed up they are with how buggy these games are, that we're just using the same old fucking engine. I can't even remember the name of it at the moment, but it's got all of these. Yeah, that's it. So it's got all of these legacy bugs, and they're just basically trotting out shit on a fucking creaking, antiquated engine. And these bugs have stopped being quaint and funny, and they're just now sort of just getting in the way of playing a proper Elder Scrolls RPG. Like, they just sort of ruin the fucking games.
Yep.
We should have gotten to that point with Total War years ago. And I think what Apollo is sort of trying to get to, that like, this might help his point. It's like, you're in a position of having like 500,000 subscribers, and you have so much power to do this, to perform this role. It's like these sort of bugs and breakages and flaws shouldn't be quaint and funny and something you can just sort of pick at like you're picking your nose. It's like, shouldn't this be like, they need to fix this shit and do better, and this stuff shouldn't even be possible, and we should have a proper, serious, fucking big time game now. It's been like 12 years.
Yeah, we should have had something like that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess I just don't expect that out of Warhammer. I think I just don't expect it from Warhammer. Like, Warhammer is just like just playground. Like, it's just an unpolished hell. Just go there, play around, monkey playing with their ass sort of thing. Don't expect a lot out of like that kind of stuff. Don't expect polish out of Warhammer. And I don't think a lot of people who do play it will sit there and say, "Oh yeah, Warhammer's got no bugs." They're just like, I play with my toys. It's unpolished, but I play with my toys. But yeah, we should be getting some of these legacy problems sorted when there are exploits and bugs that are prevalent among multiple Total War games. That are, like, for example, the backspace exploit. I mean, they got rid of that, but that persisted among multiple titles, and they only got rid of it once it became well known, but it was always
Yeah,
there.
those
And they're aware
are
of it.
obvious bugs. You know, like
Yeah.
because you mentioned that you play a game for like thousands of hours or whatever, and you'll
Yeah.
find these crazy bugs, and you don't have the same perspective or experience as the average gamer or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think the issue here is not that there's bugs, because again, going back to Oblivion, there is a ton of bugs, and they're kind of like charming now. But at the same time, they were pushing the game to a whole new level where you had NPCs walking around and talking to each other, and with Total War, it's like you don't even get that. You don't even get them trying to push the limit.
Yep. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yes, they should be pushing the game. They haven't been pushing the game at all in like the past 10 years. Everything that's like going on in Warhammer is old news. It's more of the same. They're not really like when they like, for example, in the last year they added the Chaos Dwarfs. I know that doesn't mean much to you, but they added in this unit called a Dreadquake Mortar. And guess what? It is just a Napoleonic cannon that they reskinned. That's exactly like the mechanics of it. They were just like, this is a cannon from Napoleon.
I hate CA, dude. I hate them.
And that was like that hadn't been seen in the game before, this kind of unit. So you'll sometimes see new things that are not new things, but they look new, but they're not new. Like dynamic weather, not new. But yes, totally for them actually pushing new ground and actually furthering the Total War experience, not just go back in the past and, hey, this mechanic we haven't used in a while. It's like they've got like a hat filled with pieces of paper and there's like gimmicky mechanics in them, and they just go, stick the hand in, dynamic weather, that's what this game's gonna have go on it. Okay, what else have we got? Oh, Napoleonic cannons. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, what else we got? Oh, here we go. We got, look, armor upgrades that actually provide visual effects. Oh, that's new. What else is in the hat? There's loads of things. Oh, well, hang on. Here we go. General speeches. That's a new one. Haven't had that since.
Someone inspired.
Since Shogun 2. But yeah, I wish they wouldn't just have this.
Majority of players don't know it. They're like, this is cool. This is rad. CA is making some groundbreaking new mechanics and features. This is awesome.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing with Pharaoh. There was nothing new about Pharaoh. Nothing.
Yeah.
Like the setting.
It's a new low.
This is why I gave the
new
example
low
of
for
3K. I gave the Lubu example with the chain and movement because I would only know that because I played 3K. All these people probably wouldn't have. They would have just not even cared about 3K. But yeah, there you go, copied over. And then the Napoleon one is really obvious. Yeah, sad.
Yeah. I think we've kind of said everything. I don't know if you guys have anything else. I don't want to drag us on too long.
This is only gone on for about 4 hours now. I think. Yeah, it's pretty short. Pretty short one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have everything.
Well, I think you guys grilled me pretty well. I don't know how much more I've got left to give, but
hope you got a good grilling. Hope you're pleased.
Oh yeah, I do appreciate a good grilling. I'm a glutton for punishment. That's why I keep signing up for.
I mean, I respect
new partnership programs with CA. Can't wait for next time I get punished. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to go through that again.
I respect getting on and talking. I mean, most people just
like you're here doing this.
This is. I try to inspire people to do this because
you're here.
We should be talking to each other, and people are so uncomfortable with like having these kind of conversations. Like they can't defend their position. Like why? Why not just try? Like I'm not doing a great job of it, but
Well, the thing is too. I think we agree 90%.
Yeah. I fully agree with you. We are 90% in agreement, and it's that 10% that we're like really focusing on. But that's what I think should be happening, because that 10%, that's the shit part of Total War that would be great if it could be ironed out.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier, it's like,
though.
We're here basically splitting hairs over minor things, just getting concessions that we feel are just about to come through, just need a little bit of more of a push, But at the same time, there's other people on YouTube that are just full on chilling, just pretending, sticking their head in the sand, just blue pilled out the ass, just fucking. So it's like
it's easier.
Yeah,
it's easier.
That's the thing.
People will take the easy route, and people want to be comfortable these days, and I can understand that. There's definitely especially lately, now that I've got a daughter, I would love to just take the easy route on everything. Just just make the easy video, just make a video on the CA blogs. Just take the easy road out. Problem is though, that's living in the short term. And if we don't fight for the future, we won't have it. And I really do worry about the future of Total War.
Yeah. Well, and that's our biggest difference. I don't see a future.
Yeah, that's right. Because I'm still in the bargaining
But I hope
stage.
you're right, dude. I genuinely hope you're right.
He doesn't either. 10-1 odds. That's
Yeah.
Hey, I'll still take a 10-1 odds.
Oh my god. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we're good, right? I think that's.
Yeah, we're good.
Again, I don't want. If you've
Glad we
listened
did this.
through every minute of this, bless you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'll be entertained. Don't know about you. Like, I would listen to this and be entertained as fuck.
my final
obviously
statement, and
anticipated.
then I'll shut up, is that
Yeah, go
I
for it.
think people should listen to people that they don't agree with more often, because you guys have given me a lot of insight that I wouldn't have had if I didn't have this conversation with you. So thank you for that. Thank you for challenging me on what I do and don't like about Total War Warhammer. It helps me to clarify what am I even doing here, and I think that's important. And that uncomfortable conversations need to happen every now and again, and it's totally fine if people don't want to have it, but consider it.
Yeah. Well, this was pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, for you.
But I agree. I know. I agree. Also, it's
I'm
very
gonna
long.
like. Why do you think that? Which is your favorite Total War game? You like Napoleon Total War, right?
I would.
That's one of my questions. Favorite Total War game? Fucking hell. Favorite Total War games? Jesus. Right, go on.
For me, Medieval 2 is probably my favorite.
For me,
probably either Shogun 2 or Medieval 1 for me.
For me, it's like it's a weird sort of tie between Medieval 2 and Warhammer 3. Warhammer 3 is just, it's weird. It's like I can't even reconcile
Warhammer
it.
3 is that, like, I don't know, it's like that easy girl. You're rebound girl, or something.
Let me put it this way.
She's nasty.
I'll use a
gross,
food
but
analogy.
You know what?
No. I'll use a food analogy. Right. Medieval 2 is like a well-cooked meal. Warhammer 3 is a trough filled with ice cream.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And
Medieval 2 is
if you like ice cream and it's like it's just in a trough, and you just want to eat piggy, that's what it is.
It's Medieval 2 is a like $100 wine bottle, and Warhammer 3 is a box wine. You just want to get drunk off.
It's a huge box wine. I'm talking it's like a 5-liter bottle of goon. It's just.
It gives you a headache, but you keep.
It gives you a
back.
headache. It gets you pissed. Some people don't want that. I don't drink, but as an analogy.
I don't.
It's funny because you're paying out the ass for this cheap bottle of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you end up paying a freaking $600 for a 5-liter bottle of goon. But that's the thing. Some people, it's not about, they'd rather. It's about the quantity, and that's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. All right, guys. This was fun.
Yeah, we should do it again sometime. Maybe get someone else in if that opportunity arises. Yeah, this was fun. I would do it again.
All right, I'm down. I just need time because now I'm up all night and now I gotta go to bed.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I know.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Guys, go like and share all the videos because we're almost in different planets.
Yeah.
So getting on and.
Yeah. We're like 3 people who disagree with each other on a fair few things, but we can sit here civilly and be friends with each other. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I meant the time zone. We're so far away.
Oh yeah, America, UK, and Australia. This couldn't be more inconvenient to set this up.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah.